Hi guys and welcome back. Just have two things. I got one good question in on the group about marathon training, which I am going to answer. And then I'm going to wait. I think more people will be interested in that. And then I am going to first talk about um I talked about last week that people always think it's um mental strength that they need. And where I was like saying it's physical. So what I want to actually talk about today is well, like we all know that there's times in races where you have to dig deep. Like it's not it's a complex thing. So it's like I think that mental hurting yourself. Okay, some people are naturally better at it than others, but I think what we can do is I think what we can do is train that. So I think it's more of a physical training thing, and that's what I want to talk about today. It's something I was thinking about. So how do we train that mental strength? The first thing you got to do is recognize what part of a run is it that you struggle with. Okay, so say taking myself, right? I am the type of runner near an end. I'm very fast. I can dig in. I can always go out quite quick. And it can be in the middle of races, especially the longer races, that I can just kind of like struggle. Now, some of that might be that my pacing was wrong and I might have to just go out a little bit easier. So that could be a thing to try and see, well, if I go off a little easier, can I like really come through and have a better performance? Like, can I run PBs that way? Um, another, another one might be someone um, who seems to be okay at the start in the middle, and then as everyone starts to really get going near the end, kind of just fades away, and they feel like they're not able to maintain it. So I think you need to first identify what part of the run do you really struggle with, and when you figure out that part, then you can then it's much easier to change that behavior and now practice that. And what I mean by that then is that then we can practice that element in training. So how would you do that? I was literally just doing a bit of it today, right? So I had a session that was like say three by a mile. I actually did 2 by 7 minutes at my kind of lactic threshold pace, kind of like 5:15, which is okay. And then I had like 3 minutes off. Then I had to do 1K in 2:45, which was tough. And I could finally feel like that's the stuff I'd struggle with at the moment. Then I did 400s, because I'm getting ready for a mile race in like 60. And I can really dig in for those things. So if I was struggling, say, in a race in the middle of a race, I need to practice like longer reps at the race pace. Um, so things like doing some like threshold work at the start to kind of half tire me out, and then doing reps at that race pace for longer is going to really help me when I get tired in a race. So there's no point waiting for a race and hoping, say if it's a 10K, hoping I always tire at say K6 to 8. Um, and then hoping that like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that this time. Um, I'm going to really dig in. And then it comes to K6 and I just fade because I'm tired and it's very hard to concentrate on that. But if I've done something like 2 miles, I'll keep it in Ks, right? But like, so say if I've done um 3K or 4K at like good threshold pace, say 3K, and then I start doing Ks or even 2K reps at the kind of pace or a little slower, I would even say, slower than the pace that you're doing, but like something that's like good and strong. Say if you want to do 4 minute Ks in a race, you do them in like 4:10. So you are working, but taking like say 60 seconds after each one, you're going to get to a place where you are going to feel tired and you're not going to be able to keep going. But that's where you can kind of dig in because you only have to do it, say, for 4 minutes. where it's very hard to do that if you're like, okay, well, um, like, if I do this for 4 minutes, I still have, like next 2K, I still have like 8 minutes. If it was a 6K, I still have nearly 20 minutes of running. So I think that's where I say like mental strength is um is not important. I mean that you can't really in a race just like want to do better. It's like we all want to do better, but you can practice it a little bit. And I think it's like identifying what part of the race are you struggling with usually, and then breaking it down into the type of rep that you need to work on. So if you're someone who tires in the middle, it's breaking down the reps, say like doing like at least a K to a mile reps, not at the race pace that you're struggling with, but maybe add like 10 seconds to it and taking like say 60 to 90 seconds. So by the end of the rep, you're like, Jesus, like thank God this finished here. And that's like practicing that. And what you'll find then in a race is when it starts to like hurt there, you'll have it in your mind of like, yeah, you know what, I was really struggling with, when I was on like K6 in that interval session. But I just concentrate, I stayed breathing, I stayed relaxed, and you'll be able to like click into that mindset way more because you've practiced it in training. So I think longer intervals for that person. If it's someone who is struggling with like the end of races, maybe do some threshold, and then they maybe do like your 400 meter to 800 meter reps where they just intentionally try pick it up at race pace or even slightly quicker. So again, when they're tired at the end, now I wouldn't be doing a lot of these sessions, but just sprinkling these in, especially if you feel it is a mental strength thing, is a really good way of practicing that hurt and like practicing staying tough when you're actually hurting, and that'll give you confidence, and it will also give you the feel of how it is. You'll recognize it quite quickly that it happened to me today. It's like, yeah, this is how I generally feel in those times when it's tough, and because it's like, okay, I only have 3 more minutes of this, I can kind of hold on and then take my break and then go again, and after a few minutes it's like, oh God, it's getting tough again, and I can hold on. And doing that over time allows you to get that kind of mental strength much more than thinking like positive affirmations or like geeing yourself up. That won't really work. Okay, so I hope that made sense. Identify the time in the race that you struggle. Make sure that the training is dialed in, that it is just not physical fitness, that you just can do your general training. That's a little like, this is kind of like the icing on top of the cake. Make sure the base of the cake is generally the problem, but if not, doing one of these sessions every like say 2 weeks, maybe 6 weeks out before a big race, so you might have three of them done in a 6 to 7 week period, will really help that mental side, and just learning how to like click in and push through like the hard part of a race. Um, and that'll actually come to what we're going to talk, even if you're doing marathons. Okay, so other question, 12 weeks away. Sorry, can't try and hang on Hollis. Fair play. Was she started marathon training, races the end of August. She does Saturday long runs. It's easier for her to do it on that day. Should I be doing a short run on Sunday? The answer to this would be most likely yes. If you're off work, I think it would probably be easier to do another run on Sunday and then maybe take off Monday because you're working. The thing as well I would do, right, is let me bring this up. Oh, I better share my screen rather than going into it. Okay, so let's say that you are doing like a session, all right? So when you do a session, I would just bring everything back a day. Okay, so you might do if you do your long run on Sunday, 90 minutes easy. Well, then maybe Friday is your day. Let me see. Let's say over 4 weeks. And okay, here we go. All right, yeah, this will give an example of what I mean. Okay, so If Friday was your rest day, then we can do our kind of like our session. We're doing it obviously on on Friday. If it's a case at the moment, right, that you're not doing any sessions like on Wednesday and Saturday. So if I was doing the Sunday long run on my Saturday, because the hour 50, say, if what you're up, if you're this session is going to take 70 minutes. So okay, we'll do that Friday. We'll take a rest day on Thursday. So we'll just move everything back a day. So this other session would be on Tuesday. Now, again, if you're out for the Dublin Marathon, just follow the 10K plan that we're doing currently, because you need to get that speed, get the legs turning before we start just doing that longer, chunky stuff. All right. So on that day, then you're going to do your Saturday. You'll have to do a session on Friday and a session on Tuesday. If it was the case that you were, if it was the case that you were doing, like, it might, if you have 2 days off, it might actually just suit to do the long run, because the session, might need to be a little bit warmed up, because this is an easier one. You'll do a couple of surges just to kind of get used to like untired legs, um, untired legs hurting a little bit. But say if we have the next week, this one I don't have it. I'll show you here. Where we go? Yeah. See, I generally general will put generally in general, yeah, good English. Will put like a race, the session long runs on the Saturday. So it gives you time. And then I'm doing like a 70-minute easy run. Okay, so this would be a Wednesday kind of Saturday vibe. So if this is the case, yeah, you're just going to do an easier run afterwards, kind of on tired legs. Sorry, that'll just be 70 minutes. But in the long run, you're doing 12 miles easy. Sorry, you're doing 12 miles. So you're going to do 8 miles easy. But the last four, you're going to do a mile on at like marathon pace, mile easy. And we do the marathon pace at our heart rate. We don't worry about the thing. But that, as we said, that mental idea of like, okay, when you're tired, can you pick it up? Can you drop it back down into kind of a steady pace? Can you pick it up? Can you drop it back down? Um, so yeah, yeah, I would recommend everybody do that on a Saturday, and then on those days, I always kind of recommended a Sunday long run. Because if you're off on these days, you might be able to get a nap. You might be able to get a nap, or you might be able to like yeah, just get a nap or have more recovery time essentially. Then you could do your Pilates, say, on a Monday, when you're off, and then get back into it. If you were doing it that, like, say, for somewhat, say if you were very busy on a Sunday, take that as your rest day. Um, take that as your rest day, and then do your session on your Friday. Generally, if you're doing that, just make sure that you have, say, that 1, 2, 3 days. So usually like a Tuesday, Friday session schedule, or a Wednesday, Saturday session. Trying to have it like, say, Thursday, Saturday. So, we want at least kind of 2 easier days in between those things. So I would most likely do an easier run on the day after. But I would be trying to get like 2 workouts plus your time on your feet run for the marathon, especially at the 12-week out mark. Because, every couple of weeks anyway, every 2 to 3 weeks max, the long run will be a kind of session in itself. And in those ones, I would definitely do it on Saturday, and then I would do my just an easy kind of flush out run on the Sunday on tired legs. So yeah, that was a great question. The more specific, as you said, you can have it, the better. I'll send out an email to people, because I forgot that there's probably marathons from. Yeah, great question. Brilliant. So in a 10K, how do you know how early you can ramp it up? I don't want to leave it too late, i.e. too close to the end. Not sure how early I might be able to do so and still hang on. Yeah, it's a very good question. It's a very good question. Like, as I said, I do feel like a lot of people go out too hard, and then can die. So I think there's two elements to that. I generally feel like I'm doing threshold at the start, like kind of decent threshold at the start of a 10K. I'm not overly pushing. I'm trying to feel relaxed for the first half. Um, generally, they say like run the first half with your head and the second half with your heart. So if we were thinking of that as 5K should be relaxed, and then um 5K should be kind of picking it up. I know people do it sometimes in thirds, where the first third they're trying to stay relaxed, the second third they're trying to like pick it up, and then the last third they're really ramping till the end. So if you're talking like kind of 3.5 where you're relaxed, 3.5 where you're kind of picking, and then the last three where you're just trying to like increase the pace. Like, every race is a lesson, Laurie. So like you'd be surprised. Like if you have it in you, you'll probably pick it up. Do you know what I mean? Like, so just I would just say if you go out conservative, you kind of feel when it's time. Once you kind of feel like if the lad's ahead of you, because if you imagine like a lot of people won't do that. They won't go out more conservative. Like it should still feel kind of like tempo pace that you're breathing. Like because I've done it in cross country where um I'm I'm going and then uh like use the words here. Oh, like people are breathing like crazy beside me, and there's only like a K gone in a 10K. And I'm like, what? If I ask this person out of 10, what are they? I was like, they have to be saying like 10, 11 out of 10. So they will slow. Like, so what I'm doing is I'm with them and I'm feeling like relatively relaxed. I'm like 8 out of 10. I'm like trying to breathe and stay relaxed, say for the first like 2K, 3K. And then they'll start slowing, or someone ahead of you will start slowing. And rather than you stay at that pace, there might be someone behind you who goes as well, because someone might have gone a bit more conservative. Start just pushing past them. So never kind of like slow down after the first, say, 2 or 3K. That would be my recommendation. And look, if you finish and you felt like even with say the last mile, you really pushed and you're like, God, if I started pushing earlier, I would have got like way faster. Just try that the next time. Like, it's my first 10K. Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. That's great. And as I said, it's great when you go sub 60 is a big one to hit, like, and to hit 54, 51 is lovely, to go sub 55 as well. No, it's the same. I think the K left is fine. You'd be surprised. Like I think that's the better one. Like the amount of times, look, better to have come true, especially like that. So all you do maybe next time is like set your pace. And one thing I do, Laurie, is I'd run it the same way again, but I wouldn't, if you feel like, I felt like, if you felt at the end, it's like I had more in me. That's what I mean there. That's a great example where if you feel like I had more in me, um, than say 54, 51, next time go out, but don't go out at 55 pace. Do not go out faster than 55 pace, and see how you're feeling, like say halfway through, and then pick it up again. And again, I wouldn't, at that 55 pace, I wouldn't pick it up more until the last K either again. You know, and like look, for your first 10K, that's unbelievable. Like just over time you'll find it, but that's the way to do it. You don't want to be, I guarantee if you actually look over all your splits, they won't be as crazy as you think. Like they won't be, um massively different. Now I'd say if you did drop, you could have dropped a few minutes, but um sometimes you find if you go out too hard, you can just blow up. So I would do the same again. I would go 55 pace if you do one in a few weeks time or whatever. um 55 pace, and then see, can you pick it up with like 8K, just gradually start grinding at home. um and then, as I said, give it to 9K to start giving it your all. Yeah, yeah. And you'll get better at that with just a bit more experience. But that's fantastic. That's a fantastic time for 57. Is it 5K? Not till September. Geez, yeah, that is a long time. You going on holidays first or what? Stop recording here. Okay. Hope that helps, guys. Great questions on mental strength, marathons. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Love to hear them. Just going to chat to Larry here for a second.